So I'll just, do you have the next hadith?
Yes. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah al-ali al-azim. Alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin. La siyama baqiyatillah fil aradin. Ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu al-sharif. Wa ja'alana min a'wanihi wa ansarih. اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علمك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Alhamdulillah, we are able to have once again our webinar. Yesterday, Alhamdulillah, we had a webinar for the second wave of KLC, and we focused on the hadith which is narrated from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam by one of his companions, Abu Darda. As you remember, we have been reviewing the hadith from the Prophet, from the Amma sources, from the Sunni brothers sources. Not, of course, all is from the book Munyat al-Murid. So these hadiths are selected by Shahid Thani rahmatullah alayh. But first he quoted verses of the Quran, then prophetic hadith from Amma sources, and inshallah today we go to the hadith from Tariq al-Khas, from the Shia sources. But many of these hadiths are somehow exactly the same or with some changes, also available in the sources of the Fariqain of both denominations. Anyway, the hadith that we had yesterday, and it's recorded, but I just quickly mention because I want to share with you some of the things that Shahid Sani has quoted about them. Basically, the idea was that he says, I heard from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Man salaka tariqan yaltamisu fihi ilman, salaka Allahu bihi tariqan ila al-jannah." Whoever takes a path towards knowledge, so he embarks on a journey seeking knowledge, Allah will put him on a path that would lead him to heaven. And then the hadith says, وَإِنَّ الْمَلَائِكَ لَتَضَعُ أَجْنِحَتَهَا رِضًا لِطَالِبِ الْعِلْمِ. The angels would put their wings, they open their wings and spread it, and they put it under the seekers of knowledge because they are pleased with what they do. And many other beautiful points in the hadith. I'm not going to repeat. You can refer to the lecture for yesterday. What is important is that historically we have some stories about some people who didn't take this hadith in a favorable way, and they actually made mockery and ridiculed this hadith, and then they faced some problems. So, for example, Shahid Thani says, وَأَسْنَدَ بَعْضُ الْعُلَمَاءِ إِلَىٰ أَبِي يَحْيَى زَكَرِيَّ بْنَ يَحْيَى السَّاجِي. Some of ulama have documented a story which is attributed to a person called Zakaria, and his kunya nickname was Abu Yahya, and his father name was also Yahya. So his son was Yahya and his father is Yahya. And he says, إنه قال كنا نمشي في أزقة البصرة إلى باب بعض المحدثين فأسرعنا في المشي. He says, we were walking in the lanes of the city of Basra. We were walking and we wanted to reach the house of one of the narrators of hadith, one of the muhaddithin. So apparently they had sessions with him. They wanted to go to learn some hadith. فَأَسْرَعْنَا فِي الْمَشْيِ. And we wanted to be fast, so they speeded up. وَكَانَ مَعَنَا رَجُلٌ مَاجِنٌ فَقَالَ ارْفَعُوا أَرْجُلَكُمْ عَنْ أَجْنِحَةِ الْمَلَائِكَةِ كَالْمُسْتَهْزِئِ. There was a person with us who had some problem, and he said, raise your feet from the wings of malaika. Means don't put your feet on the wings of malaika. But he said this not out of respect. He said this out of ridiculing and istihza. So it means that he made mockery of this point. فَمَا زَالَ عَنْ مَكَانِهِ حَتَّى جَفَّتْ رِجْلَاهُ. He didn't move away from that place unless both legs of him dried. So it means he was not able to walk. He became unable to move. وأسند أيضا إلى أبي داود السجستاني أنه قال كان في أصحاب الحديث رجل خليع إلى أن أسمع بحديث النبي. There was a person and he also made similar mistake. So he says that this man, when he heard the hadith that angels put their wings under the seeker of knowledge, فَجَعَلَ فِي رِجْلَيْهِمْ مِسْمَارَيْنِ مِنْ حَدِيدٍ. He put in his feet 2 nails from iron. And he said, I want to put these nails on the wings of the angels. فَأَصَابَتْهُ الْآكِلَةُ فِي رِجْلَيْهِ. Then a disease happened to him that the flesh of his legs started, being consumed and, just maybe a kind of like, jozam or what do you call it, leprosy?
Epilepsy, you mean, or
yeah. When there's a disease that the meat flesh is
leprosy,
yeah, jozam. Maybe it was something like that. وذكر أبو عبد الله محمد بن إسماعيل التميمي هذه الحكاية في شرح مسلم وقال فشلت رجلاه وسائر أعضاه. Not only his legs, his other organs were not functioning and no movement. Of course, these are what our Sunni scholars have said, and these are in their books. So for sure, no one should make mockery of these things. If someone cannot accept, okay, say, I leave it for future. As Ibn Sina said, كلما قرع سمعك من العجائب ولم يسدك عنه قائم البرهان فذره في بقعة الإمكان. If you hear something which is surprising, which is maybe astonishing, strange for you, and you don't have any proof against it, don't deny it. Put it in the world of contingency. Maybe in future you can have an argument, a proof for it or against it, which would be decisive. You don't have responsibility to deny something when it's not known to you, unless you have proof. If you don't have proof, just leave it open. So if someone doesn't believe in this hadith and says, I cannot believe that the angels do this, okay, do you have proof against it? No. So leave it and say, I believe in whatever is in Allah's knowledge. But to make mockery and ridicule is not acceptable. Of course, no moment does this. Now we move on to the next section, which is فصل فيما روي عن طريق الخاصة في فضل العلم. This chapter is about what has been narrated through the Shia sources about the merit of knowledge. So you see, our ulama have been taking into account the hadith from Shia sources and from non-Shia sources. Our ulama in their libraries, personal library or public libraries in houses, we always have many books from our other brothers in Islam. So this is a good akhlaq of scholars, that they should be open, they should not limit themselves, they should read what other people have produced or compiled, and then of course after a careful exercise of your methodology, you choose. Even we don't accept all the Shia hadith. We don't have any book of hadith which we say it's Sahih. The concept of Sahih, all authentic, we don't have in Shia Islam. The only thing that we say is all authentic is the Quran. Even Al-Kafi, with all the great respect that we have for Al-Kafi, we don't accept that all the hadiths in Al-Kafi are 100% authentic. We have to check, our ulama check hadith by hadith, one by one they check. Even Allama Majlisi, who is a narrator of hadith, and he compiled, Biharul Anwar, but it doesn't mean that he accepts all the hadith. Even for Al-Kafi, he has Mir'atul Uqul, a commentary, and he also says whether this hadith is authentic, its hadith is Sahih or Hasan or Muwatta or not. So, we respect all the scholarship in the Ummah, and even if there is anything outside Ummah, as the Rasulullah said, "Utlubul ilm walau bis-sin." But this doesn't mean that we accept everything which we read, everything that we find. We are very careful. So, open in reception, but we process it. And it goes through a careful processing. If you limit yourself from the beginning, it's not good. فَبَشِّرْ عِبَادِيَ الَّذِينَ يَسْتَمِعُونَ الْقَوْلِ. You have to be hearing any speech. Of course, if you are a person of maturity and a person of understanding, a person that can be making decision. If someone is a child, or for example, no experience, no knowledge, no scholarship, I'm not advising them to expose themselves to everything, but a scholar has to be open, listen to everything that is available among different traditions, different schools, different philosophies, but فَيَتَّبِعُونَ أَحْسَنَهُ. Then he follows the best. So it means that he is able to find out what is the best among them. If you give him 5 opinions or 10 opinions, he can choose what is the best and he follows it. So we are open in hearing, in reading, in research, in discussion, but even when it comes to our own people, our own sources, we are very careful. We have our methodology. We don't take any risk. We investigate hadith by hadith and narrator by narrator, and after we make sure that the hadith is reliable, then we start the process of analyzing hadith in the light of the Quran, in the light of the principles that we have, in the light of other hadith. And also we have to find out whether that context was the context of taqiyya or was a general context. So all these things we have to do. And of course, this is not what everyone can do. We refer to our great ulama and marajah to help us with this. So now let's go to the hadith from طرق الخاصة, from Shia sources. ومن طريق الخاصة ما رويناه بالإسناد الصحيح إلى أبي الحسن علي بن موسى الرضا. According to a sahih, a kind of authentic and reliable chain of narration, we have been narrated, we have received this hadith from Imam Raza alayhi salam. An abaihi an al-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Imam Raza alayhi salam from his father from his father, which is grandfather of Imam Raza, and finally Amirul Mu'minin from the Prophet. And Prophet said, Talabul ilm faridatun ala kulli muslim. Seeking knowledge is an obligation, it's compulsory for all Muslims. No matter what age they have, what gender they have, what geographical location they are there, what they are rich or poor, they are famous or unknown, they have people around or they don't have people around, under all circumstances, it's necessary for Muslim to seek knowledge. Talabul ilm. Even if you seek knowledge but you don't get it, at least you have done your wajib. It's not wajib to become alim for everyone. Some have to become alim. But everyone has to seek knowledge. Maybe I am a person that I don't have, good mind, I'm not very sharp, I'm not very bright, I'm not very intelligent. I don't become alim, but I have to still seek knowledge. Maybe I want to seek knowledge, there is no hose, there is no teacher, there is no book, there is no security. Maybe I have to do, for example, lots of things, but still I cannot find any source of knowledge. Okay, you have to search for knowledge. You have to seek knowledge. Talab, this thirst for knowledge is important. We don't say you have to become alim necessarily. Yes, some people have to become alim. لولا نفر من كل فرقة منهم طائفة ليتفقهوا في الدين. But you have to prove to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you have been seriously after learning. You have been seriously seeking knowledge. If your child or your dear one, like parent, any member of family or friend, they are ill, and there is a medicine that can help them, it's the only treatment. How do you look for that medicine to save your child, or to save your mother, your father? Do you sit at home and say, they should bring me medicine? Or, for example, you say, if this medicine is very cheap, I go, but if it's expensive, it needs time, I don't go. No. You are restless till you get that medicine. If it requires to spend money, you will do. If it requires to borrow money, you borrow money. If you have to travel, if you have to beg, you beg people, please, my son is dying, please give me this medicine. So when something is wajib, you have to do it. You cannot, just say, I have excuses. And alhamdulillah, in this day and age, we have so many opportunities for learning that it would be very hard for me to imagine someone has totally no access to knowledge, totally no access to learning. So we have to be there. And when I'm saying this to you, I am worried that even I may not be myself enough, showing enough search for knowledge. May Allah forgive me if my search for knowledge has not been enough. If I am, not spending more time on learning, may Allah forgive me. So everyone, every Muslim should be involved in learning. Even those who are talaba in Hawza, even those who are teachers in Hawza, even Maraja, even Rasulullah, قُلْ رَبِّ زِدْنِي عِلْمًا. Rasulullah has to be involved in learning. There is no one who doesn't need learning or doesn't need to pray for increase of knowledge except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Below Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, everyone needs to ask for more knowledge. Okay. طلب العلم فريضة على كل مسلم فاطلبوا العلم في مظانه واقتبسوه من أهله. Very, very wisely said. As if Rasulullah is talking to us today. Everything has etiquettes, everything has manners, everything has method. When we say seek knowledge, it doesn't mean that just to go to the street or browse the internet or go to the majalis and pick up what is presented to you. You have to have clear strategy for learning. Where to learn, how to learn, from whom to receive your knowledge. All are important. Do you take food from every hand? Even if it is presented to you with a good package, very nice, beautiful package, you accept? Or you only accept food after making sure that it comes from reliable people? People that you trust them and you trust their cooking or their, for example, preservation of food. If you buy a canned, for example, food, and you are not sure that they made this canned in a healthy, hygienic way, otherwise it might be, poisoned, you don't take that canned food. You don't, take the risk. Either you investigate yourself, or the brand, or because it's sold to you through a, for example, reliable shop, and you know the shop, you know the superstore, and you know they do all the investigation, or there is, for example, a stamp from the Ministry of Health, so you may take it. Otherwise, you don't take risk. فَلْيَنْظُرِ الْإِنسَانُ إِلَىٰ طَعَامِهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Tariq, man should look at his food. There are many things that we have to remember when we are presented a food. Of course, first we have to be grateful to Allah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has enabled us to live and reach a point that we need food, and that we are able also to eat and to digest and absorb energy. All we have to be careful and we have to be grateful for, but also we have to make sure that this food is a good food. This food is healthy, this food is halal, this food belongs to me, or I have permission to use. So we have to check. And the same is with the food of the soul. The same is with knowledge, or even maybe more important. Because if, God forbid, you get poisoned, you realize that you are poisoned, you start vomiting, you would have pain, you would have, a stomach pain. So when you are poisoned by bad food, you yourself realize before other people, and other people also realize, and you get together and they take you to hospital, to doctor, and they treat you. But when you get a poisoned knowledge, you would be the first to deny. And people around you, they may notice or they may not notice. And even if they notice and they tell you you have been given poisoned knowledge, poisoned information, you resist. You say, who are you to tell me? And then we have conflict here. So it's much more dangerous to be poisoned by by knowledge, than being poisoned by food. And even if someone dies out of poisoned food, okay, he has lost his physical life. Imagine Malik Ashtar, rahmatullah alayh, may Allah elevate his position. On his way to Egypt, he was poisoned. He was given a poisoned liquid and he died. Okay, did it harm him spiritually? No. Did it harm his relation with Allah? No. Indeed, he became martyr. But if someone is poisoned by bad knowledge, bad information, he's misguided, he may remain healthy. He's not losing his life, but he loses his piety, spirituality, orientation, direction. He gets confused. Then he starts confusing people. He can create a big problem in the society. He can even break the community. Lots of, a split has happened in the history by people who used to be good people. And because of their good history, people trusted them. Then they diverted some people. They opened a new branch, a new sect, a new denomination. So to be poisoned by food is much easier than being poisoned by bad knowledge, or bad information, or bad direction, or bad way of looking at things. If you get just a virus of bad approach, just look at things in a negative way, look at things in the way which is destructive, that virus is enough to finish you. If just someone manages to make me suspicious of everything, that's enough to destroy me. Imagine, I go home, I am suspicious. I go outside, I am suspicious. With Muslims, I am suspicious. With non-Muslims, I am suspicious. With media, I am suspicious. With everything, I am suspicious. Okay, just this is enough to make you not able to function, to make you even divisive and destructive. So we have to be very careful. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, "Fatlubul ilma fi madannihi waqtabisuhu min ahlihi." Seek knowledge in its appropriate places and get it from its people, the people who are qualified for that. We have to learn, but if you are to learn from bad people, or you are to learn without checking, it's better not to learn than learn something wrong. To be just empty-minded, which is what we call jahl basit, someone who doesn't know, is much better than learning bad things and you think you know. So it's better if you don't have reliable sources and reliable scholars, just keep praying and asking for Allah to open a way for knowledge for you, than just taking the risk and going to the people or books or sources which are not proved to be reliable. Okay, this hadith is very beautiful, and I think we have to leave rest of it for inshallah another session. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I hope you join me in my prayer, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would include us, all of us, among the true seekers of knowledge. May every day of our life and every night of our life would be an opportunity for us to increase our knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and whatever we need to know about our relation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our relation with ourselves, with other people. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable us to learn what is useful and to put into practice what is useful and to spread what is useful. Haqq has to be useful. The Quran says, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about haqq and batil, He says, أَمَّا الزَّبَدُ فَيَذْهَبُ جُفَاءً. It's like when rain comes and there is a flood. The rain is flowing and there is a flood. On the surface you would see lots of bubbles, but these bubbles that cover the surface and catch your eyes, these are not real water. They are empty. These bubbles are empty. This is batil. Batil comes on the surface, makes lots of noise. But أَمَّا الزَّبَدُ فَيَذْهَبُ جُفَاءً. It will go away. وَأَمَّا مَا يَنْفَعُ النَّاسِ فَيَمْكُثُ فِي الْأَرْضِ. What benefits people will remain. Haqq should benefit people. Batil has noise, makes, distraction, catches your attention, but will not endure. للحق الدولة وللباطل الجولة. Haqq remains. Haqq has a strength, but batil comes and goes. Makes you think that it's everywhere. Makes you think that batil is very important. But no, it's just temporary. You have to be patient, and you will see it will disappear by itself. You don't need even to fight batil. Al-batilu yamutu bitarki dhikrih. We have to make sure that we do our own things properly. جاء الحق وزهق الباطل إن الباطل كان زهوقا. When haqq comes, batil goes away. When light comes, darkness goes away. You don't need to fight darkness. Just bring light. Just bring good akhlaq, good knowledge, good practice, unity, love. You don't need to fight. Batil will fight you, and then they exhaust themselves and they finish themselves. So, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah, to include us among the true seekers of knowledge, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to enable us to understand and practice and share with others fragrance of the light of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and all the prophets, all 124,000 prophets, all the awliyaullah, all the imams. We ask Allah to give us a fragrance of that, a candle of that light that they had in abundance. If we have that fragrance, if we have that candle, inshallah you would see how much we would enjoy our life and how much people would enjoy our company. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين.